Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. Today I'm going to make an epoxy resin sun catcher. Yeah, I bought this epoxy resin kit off of Amazon, fairly inexpensive. It's a 1-to-1 ratio, non-toxic mix. So I put together about 20 milliliters, 10 each of resin and epoxy resin and hardener. And poured it right into the mold that I also got on Amazon. And my original intentions was to do a thin layer of the epoxy resin, let that dry, and then layer like a field of lavender was what I had envisioned. But when I poured in the epoxy resin, I mixed up too much, and it pretty much filled my my mold. So I kind of panicked, but found these little droppers. I decided to drop in the paint instead, and so it was actually kind of fun to do, and it pushed the it's just acrylic paint. The eyedroppers just kind of pushed it towards the back of the resin there. I let that dry a little bit, and then I sprinkled, these are glass beads. I thought it'd give it kind of a neat texture rather than just having just the clear there. I also kind of shifted gears. Like I said, I was going for lavender fields, but then I started thinking more of like marble or some type of mineral. So I thought along with the green, I would add a little bit of gold, kind of give it almost like a rich look. And these droppers actually came with the mold kit. So I got the epoxy resin on Amazon and then the mold kit separately. But they are coming in quite handy. Once I got a hang of how to do them, I kept blowing air into there. But then I let that dry a little bit. And then I went ahead and I mixed a smaller amount of the epoxy resin and poured that on to give it a nice clear layer. I was letting it dry for about 45 minutes to an hour in between. They definitely were not fully hardened, but it was enough of a resistance to where the new layer of epoxy fell evenly right above what I had already painted. So I thought I would go ahead and add yet another layer. So I added a little bit of white. I thought it was getting a little dark with all the greens in there. So I put in a little bit of white, try to brighten that up a bit. And I also have some beads there, and the ones I found have kind of a bluish greenish tint. So I thought I'd add a little bit of that kind of turquoisey bluish color too, which I will do here in a second. And as I was putting in the paint with the eyedroppers, I was just breaking the surface of the epoxy resin and then pushing it through. And again, it made that layered look. And funny story, I tend to stay away from green. When I was in college, I was going to community college and was in an art class, and the teacher was very, very, very good. And all the students would ask her questions every day. And so I seem to have a problem with green not drying fast enough, or it just gets out of control for me. And if I use a lot of green, it ends up going through the whole painting. So I thought I'd ask my teacher, and I said, do you have any idea of what I can do to keep the green from bleeding throughout the whole picture? And her response was, just use less green. I thought, well, okay, that didn't really help, but it was true. I should use less green. So here I just added a few of the beads and gems. I thought with the light shining through, it would give it a little bit of a sparkle. And then I put my final layer of the epoxy resin. Like I said, I started off with about 20 milliliters, and then I added about 10 each time that I put a new layer on there. And then I let that dry overnight and took it out, and it's kind of hard to see, but it made a really neat 3D effect. And I think I'll add a little hole to hang in the window, but until then, I just have it leaning on the counter there. And there you go. Thank you so much for tuning in.